Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds all of you well and in very good spirits. I find myself in extremely good spirits because I am joined today by a very special guest. So this is Tanner, and he is a film enthusiast, and I got to know him through his wonderful YouTube channel and also Instagram, and it goes by the name of the Horrible Show, and that is because of his love and enthusiasm for horror films and the like. And so that's where one of the places I hope to talk with him about. So welcome, Tanner. It's a great pleasure to be able to meet you face to face.
Thank you so much. Can you tell I'm so excited and nervous? I'm turning red.
Oh, please don't be nervous. No. In fact,
Yeah.
this is, I am the one who is very excited and pleasantly nervous as well, because I know I'm a fan of your channel. I know you from our interactions online, and you have such a great attitude and a spirit and enthusiasm towards the films that you love and cinema in general. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to get to know a little bit more about you and to get to hear from you about your interests and the like. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the intro, man. But sorry.
No, please.
I gotta thank you because your community, man. I think it's one of the things that I kind of base my channel off of, because I know a lot of people, they might know you from the Criterion collection, but I've watched videos. I know you're well versed in everything, and it's a very approachable channel for especially somebody like me, because I really haven't seen that many films. So it's nice that I can go and that everybody's so cool. I can learn about movies without kind of like the pressure. So it's really not. It's a great vibe, man. It's one of the best vibes that I've come across. So thank you for all that.
Oh my goodness, you're very kind. You're very kind. I don't know what to say. Oh
yeah.
I'm very flattered, and I suppose, yes, after this video is over, I will give you the payment that we agreed upon.
No.
No, I'm kidding. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but you're very kind. Thank you, Tanner. Not at all. I take my cues from the enthusiasm, the wonderful enthusiasm from people like yourself.
Okay.
And that's where I'm coming from, really. And so I'm very happy to be part of the group, as it were, with people like you. And if I can meet people like you, it really is worth it. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, man. Thank you.
And I wanted to, before we go into discussions about your film interests specifically, and maybe you give examples, I wanted just to maybe give you the opportunity first for people who might be meeting you for the first time. Maybe could you just, let's start with your YouTube channel. What is it? What kind of videos do you upload? What kind of discussions do you have on your channel? So what's it called? So for people who might be interested to check out that great channel of yours. So please.
Oh yeah. So my name's Tanner. So I got a channel called The Horrible Show, and it's I started up. It was kind of like my breakup mixtape post like COVID. I was like, let me try to do something with my life here, But it's really there's channels that do reviews, and there's channels that have pickups. And I'm not the best at reviews, and I'm not the best at pickups. But I feel like if you want a silly alternative to that, I feel like I'm your guy. I'm the McDonald's. If you just want something fast and easy to digest, and maybe a little bit silly, maybe I'm your guy for that.
And the name of the channel is
The Horrible Show.
The Horrible Show. Now,
Yeah.
why did you call it The Horrible Show?
Well, maybe I probably could have took a little bit more time to think of the name, but it's got the word horrible in it, or horror in it. And I think that kind of gives I felt like I was like something with a name like that, I could be as silly as I wanted to be. Because I think as times are getting a little bit more serious, you know, the past couple of years, at least, I think that's maybe, I know that's what I need, is something a little silly. So it kind of gives me free reign. I didn't want to do something super serious. So
And so you talk about having a type of maybe having fun with it, having humor,
yeah.
comedy mixed into the film discussions and the like. So, what are some, say, examples of some of the films that you talk about or have talked about on your channel?
Well, I
For
know
example.
the last video I posted, I kind of had like a Goodfellas like intro and then outro, and then kind of like sandwiched in between I have like the pickups and stuff like that. So I'll do like the little riff, like mocking Goodfellas a little bit, which is a movie that I absolutely love. um, but just little things like that. And I do a lot of the music and stuff uh, for the Horrible Show too. So it's a lot of like, I was trying to figure out all the little hobbies I have in my life and kind of just making an amalgamation of them.
So you mentioned Goodfellas. So
Yeah.
I can. So that's a film that you like very much. Is that right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's actually one of the first movies I've ever seen. Like
Mm.
because my last name's Trezza, Italian American, and my dad is like, of course, like growing up, I would be like 5 years old. He's like, "You never seen Goodfellas?" He'd hit a cigarette and it would pop like. He's like, "Oh, you got to watch this movie." He like didn't care at all. I was like, "Okay, all right, let's watch Goodfellas then."
Oh, that sounds wow. Wow. And so but you, as you mentioned, you call the channel, your YouTube channel, the
Mhm.
Horrible Show, because it has the word horror included in the phrase. So
Yeah.
uh I so therefore, just again for people who are reading you for the first time, so does that mean that your discussions are centered maybe primarily around, say, horror films or genre films or the like?
Yeah, primarily I would say genre for the most
Genre.
part.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but horror films, I would say 90% of the pickups I have are horror, which are odd. Maybe a couple of the Criterion releases thrown in there, or the couple Eureka releases, just to see, you know, just so I don't get too caught up in one genre. And then you got these great movies that are coming out that, oh, I haven't, it's been 10 years and I still haven't seen it, you know?
I also believe that one way to get to know someone is by learning about what the person's favorite movies are, or recommendations for movies and the like. And so uh, I must ask you then, so what are, again, for people who are getting to meet you for the first time, Tanner, so what are some examples? You don't have to give like a definitive ranked list or
Oh, no,
anything
it's
like
okay.
that, but what are just some examples of films that you really, really love, or that are mean a lot to you? And they can be, again, as we mentioned, the sky's the limit in terms of that sort of thing. So please share with us a little bit of your cinema tastes, as it were. I'd love to hear about it.
So I would say I'm still really caught up in like 70s and 80s horror thriller. I'm trying to branch out more. I love uh I would say one of my favorites between the past 10 years, Hereditary, Midsummer. But my favorites of all time, I always gotta say, George Romero, the original Dawn of the Dead is my favorite of all time. And I know you probably talked about that several times on your channel by now, because I know there's a lot of fans out there for that. Day of the Dead, the original Romero trilogy was really big for me. John Carpenter's The Thing, Halloween, The Exorcist, Alien and Aliens. Um, the list goes on. And I even like a lot of the quote unquote trash slashers. And that's a big thing for me too. I've been watching a lot of those lately. So
Oh,
yeah.
interesting. So what you mentioned, what, so what are some examples here of maybe this slasher genre?
Oh, I love it. The my some of the better ones from the early 80s. I love the My Bloody Valentines and the Terror Trains and little things like that. I know Arrow Video has been putting out some great ones. I know Edge of the Axe is a later, that's probably later 80s, but that I think that was a lot of fun. Uh, yeah, trying to think. Silent Night, Deadly Night, things like that.
Yeah, Silent Night, Deadly Night. That's a really fascinating one.
Yeah,
Really fascinating one. I think I didn't see it in the theater, but I saw it when it was released on VHS tape.
mm-hmm.
I think I was way too young to see that, and but I didn't know what to make of it, because no one knew what Silent Night, Deadly Night was, and then you put it in the tape, the VHS tape rental, and my goodness. I'm
Yeah,
like a kid watching. What am I watching?
I
It's
know.
just,
Yeah,
oh my goodness. It was and it was quite scary for me.
I know.
Uh,
And the sequel, even though people like it, I don't know if you've
yeah,
seen
yeah.
the second one, and
Yes, I
it's
have.
almost a full recap. So I find myself watching the sequel
Yeah,
too. So it's like two movies in one, and it's absolutely hilarious. So
yeah. So you have this your roots in your horror film, say horror film watching, as you mentioned, the 70s and 80s.
yeah,
And I must you mentioned one of the greats, there were many greats, one of which being Dawn of the Dead. So
yeah.
what is it about Dawn of the Dead, George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead?
I'm telling you. So in my, so I was born in 91. So probably like 98, 99, we started getting, it was the time where Blockbuster kind of took over. A lot of like the mom and pop shops, sadly, were kind of, they couldn't keep up with Blockbuster, right? So all these movies were getting re-released on DVD. And then just watching these for the first time, I remember going to the video store with my dad. He'd be like, all right, you've never seen that. You've never seen that. And I'm like 8, just happy to be there. And I remember the first ones was the Dawn of the Dead director's cut, and you had to flip the DVD to finish watching it. It was so long. I was like, man, that's pretty cool.
Oh, the
And
director's cut.
yeah,
Oh, interesting. So
yeah,
that's the version that you saw first of
that
Dawn
was
of
the
the Dead.
first one. Yeah, and it's weird. Anytime that I'm talking about Dawn of the Dead, I'm especially because I know Second Sight's got the release now. I'm like, buy it because it's eventually going to go out of print. It's been out of print so many different times. I feel like in my lifetime already. So I'm just glad that I have a copy.
Yeah, it's one of those peculiar things in terms of rights and
You know,
releases. It has a very interesting history when it comes to that. So as you point out, but you're absolutely right. It's one of the classics, and so. But you've seen other versions of it
oh yeah,
since, right?
yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
It-
Because then
mm,
it was like that director's cut was out of print, and I remember talking to my mom. I'm like, hey, like trying to have a grown up conversation when I was a kid. I was like, this movie, I can't buy it. I was like, we can either, like, I'm not a thief, but I was like, we can either rent it and not bring it back, save a little money, just buy it from them, you know, or I can keep on spending money renting it every weekend. So, and then she was like, no. And I just ended up renting it over and over again. But later on, the nice thing is that I don't know if you remember Anchor Bay.
yeah,
They were the fire when I was growing up, man. They
yeah,
were releasing everything.
yeah.
So Anchor Bay eventually re-released it, and then they did the box set after that. So I felt like that was like my horror film school was just those Anchor Bay releases
Yeah.
for that short period of time.
Yeah. They were on the top of that. That was the gold standard in many respects. This is
Yeah,
before all these labels now are
yeah,
have sort of taken up the space on the market, as it were. But you're absolutely
absolutely.
right. Yeah, they were doing a lot of pioneering work, and they were real, like whenever there was a new Anchor Bay release, that was something to pay attention to. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were, and I don't know about you. So I've spent most of my life in Virginia, but they were really accessible. Like you could go to most video play either a Best Buy or video store and pick them up. So it's great.
Yeah. And that was fairly new. I mean, now we're almost used to these bits of sort of memorabilia that are included with the physical media releases to make them more enticing for purchase or
Yeah.
potential purchase. But you mentioned, for instance, that huge Dawn of the Dead set. That was a huge deal.
I was so excited when it came out.
Yeah,
I still have
too.
mine.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the comic book, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the map, the layout of
Oh,
yeah, it's great.
it had a special features disc, so I was just like hours to nerd out on. It was amazing. It was everything I wanted.
Yeah, and the menus were different with each version. Yeah, it was great. You're absolutely right. So, it's wonderful, and the commentary tracks were different. So,
and it was nice because like so I saw Dawn of the Dead, so my dad rented that, and so the more I was getting obsessed with that, it was like, all right, George Romero, let me go check out his movies. Oh, who's this cat, Dario Argento, that produced it? Let me go check out and see what he's doing. And then, oh, there's this band Goblin, or the Goblins, that are doing the soundtrack. I was like, let me check out and see what they're doing. So it was nice. It was a branch off point to a whole bunch of different parts of horror. So then you get into Argento. I'm like, oh man, who's this dude, Lucio Fulci, that everybody's talking about? And then it was just a great starting point. I think that's happened to a lot of people too. They kind of get caught up, because I know a lot of people love Dawn of the Dead, man.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That is a really, really good point. It's like a jumping off point for a lot of other possible areas of exploration. You're right. So one of the key collaborations is Romero and Dario Argento, as you mentioned. So for a lot of people, I think Dawn of the Dead became the entryway, the gateway into, say, Italian horror via Dario Argento, and then through others, like you mentioned, Fulci, and there's also Bava, etc. So that's a really good point. So this was, I assume, therefore, this was then your entryway into, say, the world of Dario Argento, etc. Correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yep.
I'm Dario Argento. I love Dario Argento movies. So you've opened up the Pandora's box here, my friends. I have to ask you, what are some of your favorites in the Dario Argento filmography?
Well, I was inspired by you. I just upgraded all the 4Ks from my old Blu-rays, but if you catch me on a different day, because I love Suspiria, I love Tenebrae, love Phenomena. Some days my favorite is Bird with the Crystal Plumage. I love it so much. There's so many. I think hit the first 15 years, you can't beat them, you know.
Yeah. So you're referring to everything up to, say, what, opera, right?
Yeah.
So
well, even he made a movie called Sleepless that I think is pretty decent too, and I think that was a little bit probably a couple years later.
That's right. Yeah. That has some real intense sequences in it, and a great score as well. You're absolutely right.
And I'm obsessed with music too. I grew up. I come from a musical family. Like, dad plays guitar, brothers play drums and guitar, and I was like, oh man, there's this director that's like using this prog rock or more hard rock, and I was like, man, this is exactly what I need right now. Like, growing up, and it's cool. You know, I thought it was so cool.
Oh, so you're referring to the work with Goblin, right?
Goblin, and then was it Claudio Simonetti? Is that?
That's right.
Oh yeah, he's so good. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and that's one of the reasons that you go see an Argento film, especially during that sort of golden age, for lack of a better phrase. That you mentioned, you know, that first period of his output it's really just stellar, absolutely stellar. And you mentioned, you know, Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and you showed Profondo Rosso, Deep Red, the Arrow release, right? It's the Arte Originale version, right? I like those versions very much. I have them on my shelf myself.
Me too. And like I said, I saw your Instagram post. I'm trying to follow him on Instagram, you know. But I was like, man, those look so great. I was like, let me pick them up, because I know in the States, Blue Underground put out Deep Red and a lot of those films too. So I was like, I have the Blue Underground one. I got the Arrow Blu-ray, and then I was like, let me just pick up the rest. just get it over with.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So yes, and they just recently released Tenebrae as of the time of this
I know,
this
so good.
recording.
And I got it over here too.
I think we
Yeah.
we're talking about this offline. So how many copies of Tenebrae do you have?
I think I have 4 because I know I have the DVD somewhere. That's terrible, man.
Yeah.
But if different companies keep on putting like I know when Synapse released Tenebrae on Blu-ray, they had a really nice Giallo documentary on there. So I wanted to have the special features of the Arrow release, and then when Synapse did Tenebrae, I was like, man, they got a feature-length documentary, so that pretty much pays for itself. I was trying to tell myself that, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's part of that's part of the process for
Yeah.
sort of physical media journeys and the like. I totally understand.
Yeah, if they throw a feature length documentary on as a special feature, I'm there. Like it's already day one, you know.
I'm glad you brought this up too, because it brought me to one of the reasons why I love your channel and your Instagram presence, etc. And all the information, by the way, will be included in the description box below. But one of the things well, there are a few things actually. So first, I don't know if you remember, but you posted something, I think on Instagram. I think you had like an app that when it showed your face on the app, you had these huge glasses. It gave you the huge glasses, and like you're saying, oh, it makes you look like George Romero, or if it talk like Criterion, makes you look like Daisuke or something like that. So I was very flattered by that. So that
yeah, because I was looking, I was like, George Romero app, let me try this out. I was like, oh man, this is the Daisuke app, bro.
Yeah, so it's like it puts on these virtual eyewear glasses when you look at it. Yeah. So I was very flattered by that. And then I also saw something that you did about like it was like this classic, almost like it was like a comedy sketch. It was so funny. I was just laughing out loud watching it over and over, which was, you were talking about like you could either save up money, or you could buy like whatever it is, the 5th copy of Fulci's The Beyond or something.
So
like
true, yeah. Because everybody, I know it's an ebb and flow. Some people they collect the VHS. Some people are strictly, they'll just be like, hey, I'm gonna hit the thrift store. My limit is like $1 per movie. Like, and that's how they like to collect. And that's the beauty about all that, is like everybody has their own twist on it. It doesn't matter how you collect or what you collect, just as long as that you love it and you really enjoy it. But for somebody like me, if they're throwing out like some nice Argento, man, I'm like, dude, how much debt can I be in right now? So
yeah, I totally get it. Yeah. I always have to try to control myself,
I know.
because it's always hard on the wallet, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. And I'm always curious. So what is it hard for you to get imports over there? Is there a certain place that you like to use just to get them through?
Oh yeah, so I usually make my orders through like places like Amazon
Okay.
US, and maybe taking into consideration before you check out, you can see what the shipping charge is. And so if you bundle things up just right, you might be able to get the most, you might be able to get the optimal shipping charge. You know what I mean? If you buy like something like if you buy 3 items versus buying 1 item, that might give you the same shipping charge or something. So I always try to figure that out. But if you do too much, then it becomes a bit exorbitant. So that tends to be the calculus for that or for other sites. So that's how I make my purchases, generally speaking.
Okay.
But it's there are a couple things come up, which is that it takes time to get here, and also it's something I have to it's almost the norm that things will become slightly damaged or dented or something like that. So I've gotten used to that. So even if there's a cracked case, I'm okay with that. Or if there's a fold in the or a crease in the spine or something for like a digipack or something, I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. But I wish I could go in store and pick out the item. But there are some stores here in Tokyo, or there's actually one specialty store that I really like in Tokyo,
Uh,
but it's a little bit expensive.
yeah.
You know, for like a Criterion title will go for like it's got an import store,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you know, you could get a new Criterion title for something like, it'll be almost like $60. And so
Really.
it's now worth it. I mean, I love
Yeah.
Criterion, but I'm not going to pay $60 for a title
Of course. Yeah.
that I
You
can
got to
get.
be.
You know,
Yeah. You got to be. You know. You got bills to pay. You know, family and
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
but I
You
like
got
to
to.
look at them. I like to go to the store
Oh, of
sometimes and
course.
just look at the thing and to see, because you know it's always nice to, because physical media, that's what it is. It's about the tangible aspect
Absolutely.
of it, and so it's always nice to take a look at that. But yeah, you know, you therefore are a lover of physical media, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so what are some, again, what are some other titles that you'd like to share with us in terms of your favorites or titles that you're really interested in?
Oh man, there's a lot. I think it's going to be kind of phased out by time, but there's the Scream Factory Halloween box set that came out quite a few years ago, which they're starting to re-release now, which is amazing. You know, I'm glad, because there was a big jump up, like hike in price on eBay, people trying to get these movies, which was ridiculous. I hope nobody spent that amount of money for it. But so it's nice that they're getting re-released. But just having the collector sets, like like the Friday the 13th by Scream Factory, the Arrow release of all the Ring films, is it might be my favorite Arrow release. It's so good, and I think the special features are so good on it. And that's the same thing with the Halloween set too. I've spent some, you know, you'll get some sets that you spend some time with, you know, and that's what makes it worth it for me, like the physical media part of it, because you're really just, it's all the extra time that you can invest into these movies, you know.
Again, you opened up to another parent Pandora's box, so I have to ask, so about Halloween. So what are
Hmm.
some of your favorites in the Halloween films?
And see, it's always different. So the original, it might be the movie I've seen the most. I'm a big rewatch guy, and
That's
I need
cool.
to stop doing that. I need to let new movies into my life and let them become a part of my life. But you know, the original Halloween, anytime like a week before Halloween in the States, you know, you got to watch that at least once.
Like
Um,
totally, I
you know,
understand.
yeah, absolutely. You know, um, but yeah, even the sequels, I love a lot. Uh, I remember, so my parents were inclined to take me and my brother to the movie theater and then just leave, you know, because they didn't want to see, and you know, because that's what, you know. And Halloween H2O, when that came out, I remember being very young, and they're just like, all right, you know, enjoy, you know, get your LL Cool J and your Michael Myers on, and it's a good time, you know. And I still really like H2O for that, and I'm glad that it's getting its re-release this year too.
I remember I saw that in the theater too. There was a
Yeah,
big chill that ran up my spine as it opened, because it
yeah,
opened with Mr. Sandman, right?
yeah,
You know,
yep,
just for the opening, right? So it was kind
yep,
of a shock or a return to form. Not, I don't want to say form. That's not what I mean. But it was recalling certain elements from what was it, Halloween 2.
yeah,
So
yeah.
very
And I still
important.
think it's really well done. Like looking back, uh, just the whole plot, and then of course I saw Halloween Resurrection in theaters too.
What how did you feel about that one?
It's fun. How about you know, if you turn your brain off, because that's one thing I'm trying to get better with in my older age, is not to, you know, I can go on the internet and say all the negative things I want, but what kind of what's that bringing into the world, you know, some people love that movie, and who am I to destroy that for them, you know?
I love. and I mean this really sincerely, I love the eyebrows on the mask.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah, yeah,
there's a real purpose. They
yeah,
weren't as pronounced as in other masks from the Halloween series. Those are really powerful eyebrows, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In H2O, they had a couple different. There was even a CGI one, which was really weird, man. You know,
What what are your thoughts about some of the recent films like Halloween and Halloween Kills?
I thought I, I thought Halloween Kills was. I thought the first recalibration, whatever they like to call them now,
Yeah, yeah.
was pretty good. I thought it was, I feel like if you put a Halloween movie out there, I'm definitely going to see it. I'm going to be at least excited for it. I thought that maybe a little bit of the dialogue in Halloween Kills was a little, the evil dies tonight. I thought after a while it was getting kind of funny, So, but yeah, it was still. I was there. I was there for the ride. I don't think. I think people might have their expectations a little high for movies like that too.
Oh, interesting. I think that for me it's always going to be Halloween and Halloween 2.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I love Halloween 2. I love, and then Halloween 3, I love it for so many different reasons, or the same
yeah,
reasons and different reasons.
yeah.
But those were the films for me. And then I remember the chill I got when I saw the trailer for Halloween 4
I
on a
know. Yeah,
VHS rentals or something like that. It
yeah,
was amazing. But I I heard the kind of mixed reaction to Halloween Kills before I saw it.
yeah.
But when I saw it, I really got into it. So I thought it was. I mean, there were some interesting things about it. I mean, I think it has a rewatchability factor for me. So
Definitely.
yeah. So then, just continuing on, which is the Halloween films,
Mhm.
and you also mentioned. I have again. I can't not mention it. So Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I know I even took out the the final chapter and a new beginning. Um, it's so I remember watching a previous video and you had talked about a new beginning a little bit, and what I would like to know your thoughts on it, just maybe even if it's short.
Oh, I love A New Beginning.
Yeah, me too.
I think
Yeah,
it's so like off the wall. It's off the charts.
yeah, yeah. It's almost like a quintessential, like if anybody wants like an 80s slasher, I'm almost like, this doesn't matter if you haven't seen anything else, just watch that.
It's so it really does like I mean it's got so many things to give it's I think well deserved cult status.
Yeah, oh yeah,
And also I think it's very clever. It's like way ahead of its time, I think.
yeah, yeah.
In terms of what it does with the plot
Hmm.
and Tommy and how it turns in the character and just what we expect versus what happens and what doesn't and all this stuff. So, but I'm sorry. What about you? How do you feel? I mean, about New
Oh yeah,
Beginning?
oh yeah. Like there's some, maybe at the beginning, I know I'm not trying to delve into spoiler, it's it's a little mean spirited, but
Yeah.
it's so much fun. Just all the characters, everything's kind of turned up to 100% on the characters. You have like you're more like a country style lady and her son that is a riot every time I watch it. And just I think the music's really cool. The chick dancing for like there was like 2 weeks, like I was just
Yeah.
doing that in my kitchen,
Yeah, the kind of I can't do it. I can't do it,
the
but like
robot dance.
yeah,
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 yeah.
I can't do it. Yeah, yeah, I do it. But yeah, it's amazing. And
Yeah,
it's like look behind you. But no,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no, she's gonna dance right
yeah,
in the rainstorm. Yeah,
yeah,
perfect, perfect. And
yeah.
the
I
chocolate,
know.
yeah,
Yeah,
the chocolate. Oh goodness,
yeah,
it's perfect how it's applied there. And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
When that kid, when Joey, when he starts to get angry, you're like, bro, something really bad is gonna happen. Yeah, and
yeah,
it's yeah, and
yeah.
it's funny watching that movie So just randomly, I went over to my dad's house and I think he was watching something like Pluto TV, some streaming service that they have in the States. And he was like, oh, Friday 13th. And they put it on from the beginning. And he was like, what is this movie?
Oh, a
So
new beginning. It was a new
yeah,
beginning.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Yeah,
He
I
was
think
getting it.
you can also watch that. Oh, I'm sorry. You can also watch that and not necessarily have seen the previous films. I mean, of course, it's great
Yeah.
to see those. I would
Yep.
recommend that people do that if they're interested, but it's not an absolute must. You can kind of follow along the story. They kind of give a nice recap of what's going on in the
That's
previous
something that,
films.
yeah, the Friday the 13th films are really good with that, actually. Like, of course, if they were pumping them out every year, you have to give kind of a, this is what happened before recap. And they were always good with that. Something that I always respected out of the series.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the final chapter as well. I think
Oh, so
I think that recap of all the films, I think the recap that's included in the final chapter is my
it's
favorite.
great. Yeah, it's so good.
Jason's out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, for part two. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's great. So you mentioned final chapter too. So
Mhm.
what is it about Friday the 13th, the final chapter for you?
I think that's, it's so weird that, I can never tell if it's just nostalgia with me, but there's something about the first six, or I think some people kind of get burnt out on the first one. Some people might think it's a little too slow, but even part two through part six, there's something wonderful about each one if you look into it. And everybody kind of likes, if you ask somebody, everybody kind of has a different favorite between those. So not to just generalize them, but it's so, if somebody came up to me, they're like, which one should you watch? I'll be like, part one through part six.
Yeah, I have a I have I have a special place in my heart, I think, for I think I was I mean, I enjoy six,
Hmm.
Jason Lives, but I think for me it's always going to be the first, I guess, first five, the one, two, three, four, and then the fifth one.
Yeah.
And it just goes off. And then you have, I guess, the Tommy Jarvis cycle
Yeah.
into part six, of course. So it's really nice. I think um there's uh I always loved, I forget the program, but I remember seeing on TV like Joe Bob Briggs
Yeah.
talking about, or it was not on TV, but it was one of the documentaries, right?
Uh-huh.
About talking about Friday the 13th. If you do this, you're gonna die. If you do this, you're gonna
Done.
die. If you're on the side of the road eating a banana,
You're done. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's an amazing sequence, by the way. The banana,
I
the
know. Yeah.
banana sequence in the
The
final
hitchhiker.
chapter. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
amazing.
Always gets it. Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's just it always keeps the viewers on their toes. Not what to you don't know what to expect. It's amazing. So
Yeah.
but hold
Yeah.
on.
And I don't know what it says about the audience. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know what it. Oh, sorry. uh, can you still see me?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I think
Okay,
I
cool.
think yeah, maybe it was a bad connection there for a second, but you're crystal clear.
Okay, cool.
Crystal Lake
Yes.
clear. Haha.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Sorry.
Oh, no, no,
I'm
no.
here all night, folks. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's something about a Friday the 13th movie. And I don't know if it says something about the fans to it too, is that it's really like every 15 minutes there's somebody getting stalked and killed. And it kind of spoils it. So if you're watching one of maybe I hate to say it, like a lower tier slashers, and it's been like an hour and 15 minutes and nothing's happened yet, you get kind of spoiled by the Friday the 13th and the Halloweens, even though I find them pretty different series in general. But so sometimes I think it's a movie called The Prey. I was like, man, it was like Have you ever seen that
Yeah,
movie
yeah,
before?
yeah, yeah. I know.
And nothing against this movie, but it's like it showed a dude playing the banjo for like 15 minutes, which is dope if banjo's your thing, you know. But I was like, man, we're an hour and 20 minutes into this movie and nobody's died yet, you know. But
Yeah,
it's very interesting.
yeah. I mean, you get a lot of wonderful, I guess, permutations, as it were.
Yeah.
And sometimes there can be, I guess the phrase overkill
Yeah.
is very apropos here. But
Hmm.
sometimes you can really go overboard, just become like an assault on the senses.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about like an interesting pace to a film. This is really great. So I'm sorry, I don't want to take up most of the conversation. Let's go back to
Okay.
your journey, your cinema journey. And so what you've already mentioned some great stops. I like to say stops along the way of your journey. So what are some other memorable moments in your cinema journey? Maybe from your childhood leading up to where you are now. They can be
Oh,
horror films, they can be any kinds of films. So please take it away, my friend.
oh yeah. So I would try to. So after I kind of got into, so you hit the Argento, and then you get introduced. You're like, oh, okay, Dawn of the Dead to, oh, there's an unofficial sequel called Zombie or Zombie Two, and then Anchor Bay. You're looking through the Anchor Bay section of the story. You're like, oh, let me pick that up, and then like, oh, they have The Beyond and House by the Cemetery. Let me check those out. You know, and then you're just blown away by the world of Fulci. I'm a teenager that really doesn't grasp much things anyway. And then all just that, it just floods the senses, and it's just an amazing kind of like Italian, so bright colored, you know, people dying in weird ways, and then it never really gets tied up, depending, you know. So exploring the Fulci afterwards was really a lot of fun, and I
Oh,
think,
cool. Oh,
you
I'm
know,
sorry. Go ahead, please. I'm just
oh no.
I'm so excited here to talk about, but I'm sorry. Please go ahead. Yeah.
And then, well, you get to the point where it's like, all right, so as a American, I'm never really hearing much about all the movies that are being made overseas. But then around that time, you get a lot of the Japanese and the Korean remakes to the states, which, you know, debatable, those movies in general, how like the quality of those. But I will say, if they were never made, I would have it would have taken me so much longer to see the originals of like, I've been on a big, like the original Shutter is so good. I watched it the other night. It's so creepy. And you know, I'm like trying to trying to tell people to watch it. I wish it had a better release. I just have the Tartan DVD, um, and just the original Ring, uh, the One Missed Call, Pulse.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Like there's so much out there. A Tale of Two Sisters. Like that I wish more people would talk about in the States. Just so I'm like, these are like top tier Audition. Like the first time I saw Audition, bro, like it was I was unsettled. Like it was bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, yes. They didn't they haven't made or remade Audition yet, right?
No, 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 no.
Yeah. I don't know how that would happen if that got the green light,
I don't
you
know.
know.
And see,
Wow.
on one hand, you can, I feel like you can kind of take like almost like the love interest. I'm not going to say stalker, but you can make a movie and not call it Audition. That's kind of has the same vibe. So I'm glad that they haven't gone that route to just flat out remake it. You know.
There's a point in the film, and I don't want to go into too much detail, where it's like the floor is like taken completely from out under you.
My dude, my jaw dropped.
Yeah.
It was not what I was expecting, because I think it was relatively, I went in blind, because with Arrow
Wow.
releases,
Yeah.
yeah, Arrow releases, I'm like, okay, people say this movie's good. Because personally, I stopped watching trailers because I feel like they were giving too much of the movie away. I want to go in as blind as possible. And
Mm.
my jaw was dropped. I started sweating.
That's a great pick.
Incredible.
That's a really great pick. I agree. I think that has a wonderful
Yeah,
a structure, a really
yeah,
tricky structure. Yeah. Really lulls you in and something gets you. Yeah.
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 And
Really
it's
great.
and really like the first half of the movie is like almost it's pretty, you feel for the main character. It's relatively like a sweet movie. You're not trying to judge this guy too much, and then just the rabbit hole he falls into, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. I don't want to go into too much detail, but
Yeah.
well, I guess it's yeah, there's a moment involving like this like a little bit of a movement in the body like that. It's something like it's like it come like I don't there's so many details I guess
Yeah.
one could gravitate towards, but for me, for some reason, that always got to me. I don't know what it
Hmm.
happens in a really key moment of the film, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great pick. Oh, and then before I forget, I have to just ask you about
Yeah.
Fulci
Yeah.
for a moment. I mean, talk about an assault on the senses. I mean, we're getting like a lot of ketchup and hamburger, on
Yeah.
the screen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
so a lot of it's just it's placed so wonderful. So what are you mentioned a few examples. So what is it about Fulci, or what is it about Fulci that grabs you?
I think really a lot of the style, and I think that a lot of the Italian directors like your Argentos and your Bavas and your Lamberto Bavas too, because I love the demon films, but just their style, in the beyond, just when they're going down the bridge where it's just Liza, I think her name is Liza. She's just in the middle of the road with the dog, and then oh, it was Emily, excuse me. But yeah, just I'd never seen stuff like that from American films before.
And it's really creepy.
It really
It's
is.
so unnerving.
Yeah,
The beyond. It's just this. You go. I mean, it's this kind of step by step process into like chaos.
yeah. And I'm
And
finding, oh, I'm sorry, I'm finding every time I watch it, I find new stuff about it that I really didn't pick up before, and which makes for great rewatches of all his films too.
yeah, yeah, that's really cool because I just as a coincidence, real coincidence, I was just uh, I couldn't sleep um, a couple nights ago, and I was in a separate room because my family was sleeping, but I was up and I just couldn't go to sleep. So I just went to the other room and I said, I'll just put on a movie and
Yeah.
just see what happens. So I decided, what should I do in this like dead of night,
Hmm.
trying to go to sleep but not. So I said, oh, for whatever reason, I said, I'll watch the zombie.
Yeah, yeah. That's see,
Zombie, so,
you can't go
so
wrong.
just
Yeah,
kind of just was a, and it was on the one hand it was a mistake because I couldn't go to sleep, but it was
yeah.
on the
Because
other
you
hand it
had to
was
watch it.
great.
Yeah,
Exactly, it
yeah.
was wonderful. I love I love how I don't know. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's like no,
Yeah.
no,
Yep.
yeah, yeah,
It's amazing.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah, and it's
especially,
so slow.
yeah, I
Yeah, and
know.
just yeah, it's great. And here, let me take off this and go scuba diving. And
Yeah,
oh no, there's a
yeah,
oh
yeah,
no, and then they're gonna. It's
yeah.
great. Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah,
Especially with the slow camera scene of the
yeah,
spike, you're like, they're gonna cut away, you know? You're
yeah,
like, oh no, it's gonna be fine.
yeah,
No, bro.
yeah,
They show you everything, you know.
yeah. Yeah. Like I don't know. I always think to myself, I guess you always think like, oh gosh, move, or like I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah,
close your eyes, or I do
yeah,
something, but
yeah,
it's just oh, it's like oh, it's like that scene in The Simpsons. Oh, they're very slowly getting away.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
that kind of thing. It's the opposite, of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
Yeah, so oh, it's wonderful. I love it. I absolutely love it. But okay, so I'm and then moving on for forward with your great cinema journey. I mean, you've mentioned so
Hmm.
many wonderful places, so many places in time and space and geography.
Hmm.
But please continue. Yes. So then, what are some of the other stops along the way as you progress? through your cinema journey?
Yeah, so I find myself like I'll get really caught up in either like a certain particular spot in the world, and then I'll try to just like binge as much movies from there, and then I'll kind of just go back to the States if I had been missing out on any films like that. Like I remember when I was younger doing like all the Italian stuff. I've realized a couple years later that in the States they were doing like a lot of like the found footage, like the Emily Rose and then Your Last Exorcism, like movies like that, that America was, yeah, the Paranormal Activity, which I really still enjoy. But I was like, oh man, there's a whole nother wave that I kind of missed out on that I have to go back and watch. But I love the found footage genre. I really do.
Oh, that's really, really cool. You know, I admit, you know, I haven't seen all of, I would call the recent stuff. I mean, I consider from my vantage point, you know, paranormal activity films to be fairly, relatively
Recent.
speaking, recent. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I was in college, right, that was when the Blair Witch Project was released, and that was, I mean, for those who don't know, when it was released, it was huge, huge deal. It was a phenom when it was released, and you had to go see it in the theater. And I saw it in the theater, and it was like, okay, okay, okay. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, and you know, it was like that. So
Yeah.
that was an event film, right? And it kind of got the ball rolling. I mean, it wasn't the first of this kind of film, but it was really quite popular back in its day.
Yeah. It sparked all that kind of stuff. And I remember too, because of course, when you have VHS, the days of VHS, you just record everything off of TV. And the Sci-Fi Channel had amazing hype game for the Blair Witch. They would do like the little specials, like there was a like an hour-long special on Sci-Fi that was called The Curse of the Blair Witch. Then I remember my dad taped that, and it made it seem like it was even more real to really sell the movie. I was like, dude, this is real. They're really gone, bro.
Yeah, it was like the hype machine was just was amazing,
Yeah.
amazing for that film, and it really worked because it was a huge deal.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
really
And then
cool.
and then followed up, and I loved all the stuff that was kind of going on in the 90s too. Like I love the Scream sequels, and even the I Know What You Did Last Summers. And I think there's definitely stuff to be found looking back at those things too. The urban legends, I got a fond spot in my heart for that too.
Yeah, this was a like oh gosh. Um I haven't yet seen the new Scream film.
Mhm.
I guess new, the most recent Scream film.
Yeah, it's still
Uh,
pretty new. Yeah.
is it? Okay, okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because but I saw the first Scream film, or I saw the first couple Scream films in the theater.
Yeah. Yep. Me too.
Those really, like, those were fun times at the theater, really. So
Yeah.
scary, so fun,
Yeah.
and really quite imaginative in terms of
Yeah.
where it went. So oh, that's really cool. That's
Yeah. And a lot of trying to think. With the Scream films, I thought it was particularly. I think I might have been at the time. I was too young to get the the meta jokes in it, but I think that's when you get older. That's the greatest thing that you love about the movies, all the meta humor and things like that. So
yeah, and it was and then right, and after that you got into some of those like how, like H2O fell into that wave, right, in
yeah,
the 90s. So we
yeah,
mentioned H2O before, so
yeah.
oh, that's well done. Yeah.
And I always felt bad for Wes Craven because he kind of did that with the Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Was kind of almost the Scream a couple years earlier, kind of almost the same vibes. Like, is this reality or is this, you know, the movie? So I always felt bad that, that wasn't a bigger hit for him.
Oh, Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an intriguing film.
Oh no, I love it, man. I really do.
Yeah, there's some moments that are really quite scary, like the makeup. That's
Hmm.
really scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like again, I don't want to go into too much detail, but I always got a kick out of the bit where it, I got there's the scene with a tongue,
Yeah.
like it looks like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it's so it's so cool. I've
Yeah.
never oh
Yeah.
no, what's gonna happen with the tongue? Oh, and they're trying to do this with the, like that with it. Oh,
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, but I'm sorry. Yeah, so and then but you're right too. There's this type of meta atmosphere, and it was intriguing too, because where are you going to take the Nightmare on Elm Street films? You can only go. I mean, you can go to a certain limit, but then where are you going to go next? But Wes Craven I guess not solved the dilemma, but he provided the answer, which is go the fourth dimension, as it were,
Yeah.
break the that wall,
Yep.
and he did really well. Wow, it was a great film. Again, the tongue scene, I love that tongue
It's
scene.
amazing.
Yeah. Is there any I mean, is there any film in the Nightmare on Elm Street film series?
Oh, I love them all too. But I would say, I'm a Dream Warriors fan myself.
Oh,
I
cool.
remember sitting, like, renting it from the movies theater or the video store, and then sitting in my doorway because I was so afraid that, like, I'd have it on the TV and then, like, all the way out of my room in the doorway, like almost in the hall watching it because I was so afraid when I was a kid.
Gosh. Oh gosh, I don't uh I love part three. I love part three. Uh I don't know about you, but oh gosh, I always forget the names. I apologize, but
No, it's good.
the I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen part three, but okay. The I always was so sad with I am the Wizard Master.
I know, dude. I know.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
And he's so confident in the hallway. He's like, dude, and he
Yeah.
runs towards him. I was like, don't run, stay at the other
Yeah.
side of the other end of the corridor. You're safe.
Yeah.
Just stay there. Why are you running towards him? Oh, don't do that. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, kid. I don't believe in fairy tale. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. That was just like the saddest thing. I
I know.
was crushed. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
because in that movie you really feel for the characters. They did a great job, building up, the characters and who you went along the journey with.
Yeah, I agree. And it was like Joey and Kincaid,
Hmm.
and it was the I remember what was it? What I forget what's her name. What's her name? The one in my dreams I'm beautiful.
Taryn, yeah.
Yeah, Taryn, thank you. In my dreams I'm beautiful. And bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was so cool. Like it was perfect timing too, with the
Yeah,
hair and everything. It's
yeah.
amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's amazing. And I love the voice change. Like Freddy Krueger's voice just changes
A lot.
octaves. It just
Yep.
goes all over the place.
Yep.
Yeah, and we get the whole mythology expansion with with the stuff with Amanda and the
Yep.
souls and all this. We didn't see this in previous. I mean, what was it? Was the first film, which is a landmark film, and then the second film, Freddy's
Yep.
Revenge, which is another story in and of itself, of course.
Yeah, which is getting a lot of, like, I'm so glad that it got its credit later. It's almost like the Day of the Dead, how it got its credit later,
Oh, yeah.
you know. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, no, no. Please go ahead. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
What do you mean by that? Can you explain? I think I know what you mean, but yeah.
but it's just so weird, like, just growing up, like, people didn't like how, like, oh, in Nightmare 2 where Freddy jumps out of the pool and, like, he's coming into the real world now. But then I'll be talking to people today on either Instagram or something like that, and they're like, oh, that's my favorite movie. Or it's got a huge LGBTQ community behind it. They're like, oh, this movie helped me out, help me figure out what my journey in life is going to be beyond this. So I'm like, if there's a horror movie that actually helped somebody's life like that, I'm like, bro, it's amazing.
No, that's a really good point. Like I I never understood I guess it's a criticism of the film. I don't know. People look at for instance, the pool scene,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pool party scene, right? Which is a maybe big part of the film.
Hmm.
And people, I think there's been some criticism against the film over the years
Hmm.
about that scene, or as an example, that scene, as you mentioned, it maybe
Yeah.
makes him look ludicrous or something in the. I always felt it was like really scary.
Me too.
It
Yeah,
was
me
really.
too.
There's a bit where it's just some random guy is just running, and he just runs, and then suddenly Freddy's like, "Blah," and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh!" He's like, and it's like this is so, and it's like, oh, it's just so
Horrifying.
scary. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was, and then like people are trying to climb over the fence, and
And
you
they're
see
gonna,
them like crushing some poor guy with like, and you hear like the which, oh my
yeah.
goodness, this is frightening. And then there's the guy, he's like, hey, it's okay. He's trying to be a hero, right? It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. Just tell me, I'm here to help, and
Yeah.
don't do that.
I know.
It's just scary. But it's a very scary scene, I thought. Yeah.
I really thought so too, because like they kept Freddy kind of hidden too, like they shattered his face and stuff like that. And I thought the makeup in part two looked really cool too myself.
I agree.
Yeah.
It had a very almost it was really sinister looking.
Yeah.
Very different from the, and I love the bit, just to follow up. I guess there's a scene with it's Lisa, right?
Yeah.
Lisa's parents, because it's her house, right? Lisa's
Uh-huh.
parents come in, and her dad, I think, like, I want to say, like, with the pajamas,
Yeah.
and he's got the shotgun or something.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
trying to with all these kids there. It's like trying to
Yeah.
do it with what are you
Yeah.
doing? But I guess
Yeah.
it's a panic. But I guess I don't know. I can't imagine what I would do in that situation. Like if I were
I
the
know.
dad and my kids were having like this huge pool party, and then suddenly
Yeah.
demon came up from out of nowhere and started to like attack people. I don't know what I would do. Maybe, I would probably be more panicked than the dad there. So, but,
Oh yeah. Me too.
but
Yeah.
but that's an intent. And there's a scene with like there's a random scene involving a dog, like a dog, and how it looks, and
Yeah.
she's like it just goes, it's like, wow, what a weird detail in
Yeah.
this surreal film. It's very surreal. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great pick.
Yeah, and that and little films like that, and like I was saying, Day of the Dead kind of had its because I remember growing up, I always loved the movie for different reasons, and I'm not trying to be like the hipster, I liked it before, it's cool, but I love that it kind of got its justice lately, because I don't know whether it's easier to watch in the States. Like I feel it's like on all the streaming services, which Dawn of the Dead it's actually pretty hard to watch in the States now. But yeah, it's gotten a lot of love. The soundtrack, the whole,
what is it? What's his name? John Harrison, right?
so good. Yeah, I watched it last night.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I think it is easier, because I remember growing up, Day of the Dead was much easier to find on VHS rental
Yeah.
than either Night of the Living Dead or Dawn of the Dead. Night of the Living Dead was a little bit easier,
Yeah.
but Dawn of the Dead, at the time, I was living in the UK, the United Kingdom at the time, and there was a kind of a big release of Dawn of the Dead on VHS, but it was edited, but you could still rent Day of the Dead, and it was pretty intact with
Really?
all the
Yeah.
scenes, and that was wow, that was what a
Absolutely.
film that is. And so that
Yeah.
was like and that was before any of the other films that came out later, like Land of the Dead, etc. This was
Yeah.
it, and it was
Yeah.
amazing. Day
Yep.
of the Dead, amazing what they did. And so I have to say, for the longest time though, I didn't know what he says at the end there,
As he's
right?
getting
Yeah, he says, I was like repeating, rewatching that scene, like, what is
Yeah.
he saying? He's like I go figure it out later with the DVD and Blu-ray and subtitles, choke on him, choke
Yeah.
on, but I didn't, like, what was he saying? Choke on. I don't know, there's
Yeah.
some moments like that where I didn't know what characters are saying, but they sounded cool, or at least what they were saying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And see, I don't know if it was the same for you, but I remember growing up, the VHS copies of Day of the Dead were pretty dark. Like I remember like
Oh yeah.
towards the end when they're in the tunnel, I'm like, I don't know if it was just the copy that I owned. I was like, bro, I have no idea what's happening. It sounds amazing, but
Oh yeah, and there's a bit with the in the tunnel and they're in this, and then there's like the zombies, and like there's one zombie there that I really I here okay, here's my impression of that, the tunnel zombie, okay? All right. There's that's I love, you know what I'm talking about, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
love that guy. I love that.
Yeah.
He tried so hard, you know. He's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's so good. It's
yeah,
so
and
good.
I
See,
love how, yeah, it was lit in a way that it didn't look like blood. It looked like what is it? Fruit punch coming
yeah.
out of his head. It was really like,
Yeah.
oh, it looks delicious. I don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm sorry. I what you were about to say something. I apologize.
Oh no, it's just yeah, I never know if it's nostalgia for me, but I'll keep on I'll rewatch these movies like
Mm,
and I always find something else that I love about them. But you had me curious is that
sure.
because you said you were living in the UK for a little while.
Yeah.
Um were there a lot of films that you saw that got cut that were pretty
Oh
cut to
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like for example, I'm going to Dawn of the Dead. So this was in the late 80s, early 90s.
Uh-huh.
And suddenly Dawn of the Dead was available on VHS. You know, I couldn't buy. I had to kind of. My parents were really good about that. They were they would get it for me or something, and I'd be
Yeah.
so grateful. And to watch Dawn of the Dead, I didn't know any other version. So it was the theatrical version, but it
Hmm.
was then further cut down. So you didn't see like the
Oh man.
you didn't you got a little bit of the hint, but you didn't see the follow through of the
Mm,
Tom Savini effect. So
okay.
so you didn't see
You see
like
the bend over, but not.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a bit where you see like the shirt open, but you don't see what happens what next. You
Yeah,
know, that's
yeah,
that, and then sometime later I was able to see the full version, and it's
yeah.
I see, because I thought like everyone's making a big deal about the special effects, but I was looking at this edited version in the UK, and it's like what are they talking about?
Yeah.
This is
Everybody just
pretty
looks
tame.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or like there's a scene with a screwdriver,
Mm.
and you kind of get like, okay, here it goes, and then so like, oh, that's it. I don't know. So it wasn't that big a deal to me, or didn't look like that, but it became like a big deal afterwards. So
Yeah. And I'm so jealous of your time because you've kind of been everywhere. Where you said you spent some time in the States and then the UK and then over in Tokyo. That's amazing, man.
oh yeah, yeah. Just when I was young, I was my because of my dad's job,
Hmm.
or jobs, because he had quite a few there for a few years anyway. So he would be moving because of that, and so we
That's
would
so
go with
cool
him.
just
So,
to check out the like different cultures. I wish, because I still actually haven't been outside of the States yet. So
oh, real? Oh,
yeah.
it's interesting. Well, you mentioned another film earlier in the conversation, which is The Exorcist.
Oh yeah.
So
Love it.
there's a period when I was in the UK, again, late 80s, early 90s, you couldn't watch The Exorcist. You
Crazy.
couldn't. Yeah, it wasn't available, and it was like it wasn't available. It wasn't made available. And so the only way I could get a sense of what The Exorcist
Hmm.
was by watching Exorcist 2, The Heretic. You could watch
Yeah.
Exorcist 2, The Heretic, but you couldn't
Okay.
watch The Exorcist. So I got my fill of
Hmm.
the Exorcist stuff by watching Exorcist 2, The Heretic over and over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yes, I don't know how you feel about Exorcist 2, The Heretic, but
I think like stylistically, I think it's pretty rad, honestly. I really because there's so much like weird camera stuff going on
yeah.
that there's always, especially if me trying to do my own little stupid video things in my home, like any kind of extra like weird camera angles or something like that. It's all an added bonus, you know.
I'm so sorry about this. I have to say I love the bit where James Earl Jones, he's like it's slow motion and he's like it's a tomato, right?
Yeah.
That's such,
Yeah.
to show like the spikes are real, I guess.
Yeah.
And, and I like how you're gonna put out a fire. I'm gonna like swat it, put more oxygen on it, and make it burn everything. That's so. But so Exorcist 2, The Heretic. So that's it. And then of course Exorcist 3 came, and I
love that one too.
Me too. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so creepy.
That was actually one of the ones I got in the stack just in case if I had to bring it out. Yeah.
Oh, cool. What is it? Is it the Scream Factory version?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. And I always like George C. Scott. Like at first I wasn't sure. Like I was like, oh, it's a little bit slow moving, but then it starts to unravel, and then the ending really kicks up, and then
and the thing with the carp in the bathtub or something like that. It's like
random
stuff, weird
little jokes.
Yeah. And it's like George C. Scott making jokes. It's like I want to laugh, but I'm kind of scared at the same time, But this is great. So we're on a roll here. So yes, Exorcist 3. So you said you have the what is it, the Shout, not Shout, but Scream Factory release. Do you want to show that on the camera here, or any other films that you want to show? You have a stack there, I think, off camera, but
maybe the biggest stack.
Let's see, please. Let's
adult life. All right, so there's a couple films that I want to actually thank you for introducing me to, and there's one that I just got in here. Let me. So I got this such beaten up copy of Face of Another. I wish they would re-release it, man.
Wow.
From the box set, you can't even see the spine. It's like yellow.
Yeah. Oh, that's well done. Yes, that's the out of print DVD from the set, the Teshigahara set from Criterion. Yes, you're right, and the material does fade rather easily. So I think it was white, but then my copy is now kind of faded to sort of a beige yellowish color.
Yeah. And I'm still missing one of my kidneys for that, man. I'm sorry. And also, I was watching, I think it was an older video, like a couple years ago, and I'm not sure, it could have been something that you said in passing, but tell me something. I remember you talking about this film, and this one just came in for me, actually. And I'm really excited because I don't know anybody that's seen it.
Have you seen it yet or not yet?
No, I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. All right. I think I think let me just say, I think it's right up your alley. Let me put it that way.
That's all I need,
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. So this is The Exorcist. And I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to do a 4K, either them or Arrow Video, because I know Arrow put it out over in Europe. So
yeah, that's right. So I suppose I'm always so bad with the recent releases. Have they done a 4K release of The Exorcist yet, or?
They have not, surprisingly. I thought that would be one of the first you would get.
Okay, because that's one of the potentially popular titles, right, to purchase.
And you know what? I've never seen the theatrical cut of The Exorcist.
Oh, really?
Because growing up, so I think the director's cut, or the version you've never seen, was it came out, I think, like 99 or 2000, maybe 2001 in those, and that's the version, like my dad bought it on DVD, and that's the version I've always watched. So
okay. So yeah, I know the version. So the version you've never seen, right? Yeah. So you've never seen the other version of it?
No, I've never seen the original, because people keep on telling me, like, because they have quite a heartfelt scene on the staircase towards the end of the movie in the director's cut. I'm told.
Yes.
And I feel like every time I watch it like that, it almost brings me to tears, man, you know? So I'm like, if that's out of the movie, you know, but that could just be me being particular about it, you know?
Mm. Yeah, there is a way that, let's say, the one version finishes
Yeah.
versus another. You're absolutely right. Yes, it's an interesting way that they end. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing about Dawn of the Dead is now I'm obsessed over versions of movies, you know, because you could get like, for a while, you could get the director's cut of Dawn of the Dead or the Argento cut. And now I'm like, oh, there's Aliens, the special edition and the
Yep.
you know, which,
Yep.
and in that case too, I prefer the special edition of Aliens over the theatrical. And I think that might be a hot take on a lot of, I think a lot of people prefer it the other way around.
Oh, interesting. That's really interesting because, well, I guess the excuse me, I think that one of the strengths of the extended version, there are many strengths of it, but I think one of the strengths is you get a real sense of Ripley's loss at the start of the film, right? After she's been, she's been,
and why she cares about Newt so much.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, hold on I'm sorry. Hold on for 1 second here. Sorry about that. There we go. Yeah, sorry about that. That just there's a computer glitch there, but you're right. Okay. Yeah, you're right. There was you understand what her emotional attachment is.
Yeah.
But I mean, you kind of get a sense of it anyway. I mean, it's I think really well established in the sort of, I guess, the theatrical version of the film, but that background information I think is really fascinating that you get in the extended version. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of my all-time favorites too. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Aliens and Alien.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's another one too. I love that film so much. I've seen it so many times as well. But Drake, he should have just go get in. Just don't try to be a hero. Just get into the car. You know.
Yeah.
You know, that's what Vasquez is saying. Like, Drake, come on, Drake, come on.
Yeah.
You know, for that he's gone. No, he's not. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's still intense. The whole the bug raid scene. You know.
That's right. Yeah. And I love Gorman and Vasquez, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I know I'm gonna have my hand on. No, I'm gonna have my hand. I'm gonna have like this. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing stuff. And then oh gosh, I love that film, Aliens. That's such a cool film. Yeah, I love that film. Where's the pole? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes. Hudson, come here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. So we didn't mention the Hudson quotes. You know, I guess everyone goes to the Hudson quotes. I love Hudson. You know, but
I know, yeah, it's so good, and it's so sad to see that Bill Paxton ain't with us anymore. You know,
I know. But
and a lot of his like Near Dark. There's so many. Like releases that I'm dying for over here, and I know it might be a little bit different being in your side of the world, but I think a lot of them, there might be a lot of out of print ones for you over there too. I think Near Dark is a big one here in the States that it's pretty hard to find. I got the old DVD set, but
yeah, it's hard. You know, I don't. It's hard for me to keep track because there's just so much news about what's falling out of print, what's new and stuff. So I can't keep track of these things anymore. So
yeah,
but so many memories. How do you feel about Alien 3? Or should I not ask?
No, because I really dig Resurrection too for what it is. You know, I'm a pretty simple dude. Wow. It's got to be like pretty bad for me not to like it. But I think it's Alien 3 is definitely bleak. But there's a period of time where it was always on cable. And I feel like I'd watch just have something on the TV, watch Alien 3 just because it was on. and then you could dig it for what it was worth, you know, put it on, clean the house or something, you know. There's
Alien 3. You put it on, you
yeah,
put it on a clean house. I love.
yeah, you know, have it on.
I'll try to do that next time.
Yeah.
I mean that. I mean that. It's like
Yeah,
clean the house while watching Alien 3. That's a really good
yeah,
idea. Yeah.
yeah,
There's actually a
because
scene
you're
of someone cleaning, actually, right? Right. You
yeah,
know, in the big like tube.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
what are you gonna do in an Alien movie? Oh, I have an idea. We have to clean this
these giant
huge,
tubes.
this giant tube. Like, are we gonna do it in a group? No, I think we just one person can do it by himself. Oh,
Yeah,
are there any volunteers? Oh, I think I'll do it. Okay,
yeah,
all right. Here's a mop. You can do it. There's a
yeah,
huge fan at the end there, but don't worry about that.
yeah,
It's okay. Just do it by yourself. Oh, by the way, there might be some alien activity. Don't worry about
yeah, just a little bit, you know.
it. Yeah. So,
But and that one's another, and I wonder how you feel about that. Another one that's notoriously said that the studio interference for that.
oh yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and that's just like well, if we go back to The Exorcist 3, I do believe that the studio interference kind of helped the movie, because I do prefer the theatrical over, I guess, what they call Legion, right?
Oh yes, yes, the version. Yes, that's another version that you never saw, kind of, until the great releases. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
but there is something to be said about that, the way that the theatrical version ends.
yeah, yeah,
Like there's a bit where there's a lot of ceilings in Exorcist 3. You know what I mean? There's a lot
yeah,
of ceiling stuff that's going on. And
yeah,
there's one bit in particular, you there again, I call it, I mentioned it before, the hamburger and ketchup moment.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
a lot of hamburger and ketchup
yeah,
at the end there in Exorcist 3, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
ceilings and like, wow, you
yeah,
know, so
yeah.
and you get quite a different vibe with the other version. Yeah, I thought that the way that the theatrical version ends, it's wild. Yeah, wild ride. I
Mhm.
agree. Oh, let's see, are we frozen here? Is it a bad connection?
Oh, can you see me?
Yes, I can. Can you see me?
Okay, there. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. So yes, so again, the various versions of films, that becomes part of the process of what to get, what not to get. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, and there's another one that's kind of one of my favorites. I know this
Oh,
is like
Brain
a
Dead.
bootleg
Yeah.
copy because you can't get it here, but Brain Dead, yeah, Dead Alive. That's always been a favorite. Just I wish Peter Jackson would put that out again. You know, not in his movies, but just like re-release like a 4K.
Oh wow, yeah, that would be so wild. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. If that could happen, but yeah, that's something that like I don't know, every kid sees, you know, growing up, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Just
and it
yeah.
just blows your mind, and it's so much
Exactly.
fun to
Yes, it
watch
really
with people.
blows my, yes, it does.
Yeah, because that's one thing I will say that was a positive to COVID. There's a lot of people that I've met through YouTube, and just so anybody all over the world, you sit down, you have these like Skype watch parties, like you have like a movie file, and like people that have never seen Brain Dead or Dead Alive before, like watching their face watch it for the first time is great, man. You know, that's almost better than watching the movie.
Can you give us an example of what someone's face looks like?
Or just like they're like that for 10 minutes, you know, especially with the lawnmower saying, you know,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
and it gets a lot of laughs too, because I think it's really funny too.
Me too. Me too. It is a very zany
Yeah,
comedy horror film to the max. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well done.
And that's one of the genres that I love, the horror comedy as well. You know, the other night we like Young Frankenstein. It's always amazing to throw on for a good laugh.
Oh, Young Frankenstein. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna make espresso. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
one of my
great.
favorites of all time. Yeah, and that Evil Dead 2, like a lot of the horror comedy is very underrated for me these days too.
Oh, you went to Evil Dead. Oh
Yeah.
no. Yeah, I love Evil.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Evil
Yeah.
Dead 2 is like that was a big deal with my friends and I growing up.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Oh, really? For you as well, huh?
Oh yeah. I think it
Yeah.
was it might have been one of the first horror movies that I watched, the first and second one. I remember I was so like blown away by it that I didn't think anybody in my family was going to rent it again. So I tried to write down what happened so I could go back and be like, oh yeah, this movie is sweet.
Oh, that's so cool. You
Yeah.
actually wrote down the
I wrote
notes.
down, I was like, all right, come to a cabin, you know, possession happens. Like I tried to do like the spark notes just so I could remember, or if I forgot the title of the movie, if I could try to, I'm like, maybe there's one day I could go back and try to figure this out, you know?
Oh, that's so cool. That
Yeah.
is really cool. So you did that for films like you mentioned Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so I love that film. And you're right. The comedy is it's really, this is like like genius level slapstick comedy
Yeah.
that's
Oh
going
yeah.
on here. I mean, people celebrate, the silent film geniuses
Yeah.
like
Man, the Three Stooges. Oh my God.
yeah, and but here it's like, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing what he does there. Bruce Campbell does with his
Yeah.
body and the contortions. It
Yeah.
really is. It's genius.
Yeah.
So and then I remember the wait, like between Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. It felt like forever.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even know what was going to happen when you got news of it. It was amazing. But there's another interesting story about films and studios and influence, etc. So
Yeah. And it's just like a big thing. I remember being really confused by the beginning of Evil Dead 2 because
yeah.
because
Yeah.
they couldn't get the rights to the first Evil
I,
Dead and they kind of
yeah,
just had to redo the end of it, you know?
I know. Yeah, it's kind of like yeah, it's a redo of the
Yeah.
film. So it's really Evil Dead. Evil
Yeah.
Dead, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And of course you'll go online and you'll see people like cut them together. Like they'll cut like Evil Dead 1 and then Evil Dead 2 simultaneously without
yeah,
that little snippet, which is
yeah,
pretty cool. I've never watched it like that, but I think that's pretty interesting, you know?
yeah. I guess, although I always find it like there's a really charming thing about the lack of continuity.
Really? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, between the, in fact, you can kind of say something a little bit similar goes on between, say, Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness as well. But
Yeah.
really, the lack of that huge void between Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, I think that's one of the charming things about the series for me.
Yeah.
There's this, and it feels, and I mean that very sincerely, it
Yeah, yeah.
feels, it makes it feel even more, or it emphasizes how homegrown it is,
Yeah.
which is one of its great strengths. It comes out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and it's just made for like relatively like nothing in
Yeah.
terms of movie budgets,
Yeah.
and it was a huge thing.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have one that you prefer? Do you prefer out of the three?
oh gosh, it really
I know
like,
that's
yeah, oh gosh, there's so many like, um oh gosh, I think for me, the one that was hardest to watch, not hardest, but the most difficult to find because of the lack of availability, was the first one, Evil Dead.
really, yeah.
But Evil Dead 2 was a little bit easier to watch. So that was the one that I seen the most growing
Yeah.
up. And I remember then when I was able to watch Evil Dead finally for the first time on like VHS,
Mhm.
it was really shocking to me. I was just shocked. I was so taken aback just how over the top it was.
Yeah.
And it was there were some really scary moments.
Absolutely. The pencil. Good Lord.
Oh gosh. And then but I think for me it's yeah, it's going to be Evil Dead 2. And
Yeah.
then I remember then Army of Darkness. I remember watching that. I was so excited watching that, but then I was like, okay, but then it grew and grew and grew, and it
Yeah.
became this huge thing. So
Yeah.
and it was like Fangoria magazine for months. It would be nothing but Army of Darkness. It was
Really?
great. Yeah, yeah, it's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I guess yeah. I always forget, right? We're in a slightly different generation. So you're much younger than I. So I don't know if Fangoria magazine was a thing for you growing up or not, but
Oh yeah, yeah. But the nice thing is that I was able to catch a lot of that. Like as the internet was starting to slowly, dial up, like Blossom, stuff like that. I could get a lot of that just through like either fangoria.com or like these weird little, internet sites that had like, oh, this new movie's coming up, and
yeah. Yeah, I had AOL. So I remember
yeah,
dial up.
it
Yeah.
it's crazy to think about it now, how far it's gone.
I know.
But
Amazing.
people would have these like little fan pages of like, oh, you like the Halloween movies too? Check out this fan page or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's amazing to think what the landscape was for the internet, the World Wide Web,
Yeah.
and then how
But
things
that's why I love YouTube, man. I think it's, I watch a lot of movies. Sadly, I don't watch a lot of like television anymore because I'm so caught up with other people's content on YouTube. It's like my TV now.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think that that can be said for you as well, and your efforts and your creativity on YouTube as well. I mean, I'd love to, this is a good opportunity to bring it back full circle, but
Yeah.
I just really want to emphasize again, I love your channel.
Thank you.
I really love your channel. I think it's so fun, and it's funny, and I like every video it's like I don't know how you do it. The energy levels are just it's amazing. I don't know how you got to give me some of your secrets here, because
caffeine, man.
Caffeine. Do you have a beverage of choice, or?
I just like coffee in general. Okay. Coffee drinker. Yeah. Just always sipping on some, Yeah. But it's always I don't know. Do you know Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters?
Yeah.
Like he's always if you look on the internet, they said he used to drink like some crazy amount of caffeine all day, every day. Wow. And he actually went to like the hospital for like heart palpitations one time. So he's like my don't become Dave Grohl's caffeine addict. Wow. He's kind of like my, I'm supposed to stay this many cups a day. So.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you always maintain a certain limit within bounds, right? For health reasons. Yeah, that makes sense. But
so I'm not like crying decaf over here.
But coffee, yes, coffee is. I'm also a coffee drinker.
Yeah,
I do like my cup of coffee. Although I don't know if I drink a lot of coffee that much. But okay, that's really that's so I'll have to maybe. Yes, I'll take some inspiration from you, because as I say, your channel you have such a lovely vibe.
Oh, thank you.
And I love the way that you interact, and you're just you mentioned, you kind of described yourself earlier as a kind of like McDonald's or something. Yeah. But let me say that I love McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right? I love McDonald's. I mean, I love Big Macs.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's if you're going to another channel that's very knowledgeable, and this is not a slight to my channel at all. I'm saying that.
No, I don't think so either.
Be like, hey man, I just want to maybe something that's a little bit different. We can go out one night a week and let's watch the Horrible Show instead of watching, your usual cable program. I don't know.
No, but I think there's, but like, maybe, McDonald's or I think it's like, and I mean this in a very, I mean this very, very much like, I feel so welcomed when I watch your channel, and I feel like I'm having a good time just watching.
Thank you. But like I said, that is equally parts of watching your channel too, because I think you set up a very, very kind and welcoming community too. And I know you said it has a lot to do with your viewers as well, but yeah, that's, you know, there's got to be a place where movie fans can feel like they can open up about what they like and what they don't like, and they're not going to get, you're not going to get beat up for it, you know. I
Sure.
think we're in a day of age that, you know, 2022, 2023, we ain't got time to be destroying people's lives on what they like anymore.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know, like I don't know about you. I do get
Yeah,
my share of maybe, I don't know, internet criticism and stuff,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't know if you do, you know, I mean, I'm like Mad Max, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mad Max, and there's the Road Warrior.
yeah.
I love the Road Warrior, and there's this
Mhm.
character, you know, the Lord Humongous,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and you know the scene. So
Just walk away.
exactly,
Yeah,
just walk away. So that's my philosophy on the internet, which
and
is,
that's so great.
if you're in a forum or a Facebook group and you're having a good time, or like YouTube, having a good time, because that's what it's all about, because life
Yeah,
is short, right?
yeah,
But if there's an argument, or if there's like a little scuffle or something, or a little bit of a something that's a little bit unpleasant, just
yeah,
take the you know, take into consideration the wise words of Lord Humongous, which is
yeah,
just walk away.
yeah. You know,
Just walk away. Yeah.
I'm like,
Mm.
and I'm not trying to get political or anything, but I'm like, man, there's people that don't have clean water to drink. I'm gonna get like, I'm wasting my energy getting mad on the internet. You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, kind of perspective. You're right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. And also, it's good to like, and also there is I think room for like negativity. I think
mhm,
negative. I think the expression of negativity is itself not a bad thing.
mhm,
And like, it's, if I'm the focus of the negativity, I mean, I admit that it's not the easiest thing in the world, but
yeah,
I always try to think, like, if someone is is like, I don't, for whatever reason, I like a film, and then someone says, "Oh, how could you like this film? You're such
mhm,
a child," or something like that. And I always think, well, okay, maybe that's the case, but I still like the film. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so what it does is it provides a kind of another opportunity to reinforce what it is I
Very
like,
true.
or
Yeah,
I could really take what they're saying to me to heart and maybe reevaluate how I feel. So in either way, it's a win. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like, okay, I can, and I don't mean to like say to discourage anyone from making negative comments, but
Oh
it
yeah.
actually is it's a good opportunity, I think, to either reinforce why you like something or reevaluate how you feel about something. So in either way, it's a win.
Man, I think I just learned something. I think that's gonna help me
Oh,
here in the
really?
future.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, because it's like, I know how it is. It's not the easiest thing all the time to put yourself out there.
Yeah,
I
I know
totally
it. Yeah.
understand. And so sometimes it can be, you know, there's some maybe little wrinkles here and there,
Yeah.
it's
That's a
always,
great way to look at it, man.
oh, no, not at all, not at all. But it's like, but and also, and I always tried my best to do this too, which is
Mhm.
um, not automatically take or consider like a negative comment as being something that has to be like shut down or banned or something, like, or not
Yeah.
banned, but like, you know, closed
Yeah.
off or
Yeah.
blocked or
Yeah.
something like that. Because as I say, it's very, I think, valid, I mean, to express something in a negative fashion.
Yeah.
And then even
And
some,
and
you know,
honest.
yeah, yeah. Where I draw the line is if someone is being rude to someone else.
Yeah.
That's like saying, it's like being a guest in someone's house
Yeah.
and just being unkind to other guests. I don't tolerate that.
Yeah.
But if there's a kind of decorum,
Mhm.
which you can kind of get a sense of, then
Yeah.
I can totally, or I'll be like sometimes someone will say something that is a really valid point, but they'll just use a really stupid way of phrasing it. So I'll be like, that's a really great point. That is a really great point. I think what you said
Yeah.
is really great. I wish you said it in a different way, because
Yeah.
if you said it in a different way, I think you'd reach more people, and you'd
Yeah.
probably potentially convince more people that your point is
Yeah.
really, really, really good. But the fact that you said it in this way makes it less likable. But
Yeah.
I still understand so that kind of thing is,
Yeah.
I think, very, very valid. But I'm
Dude,
sorry.
that's awesome.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, it's amazing to hear your thoughts on it, because I feel like it's it's all gained knowledge for me, especially being a smaller channel, because that's how I can try to look at things in the future, because I know stuff like that is always gonna happen. So no, I really appreciate it, man. I feel like I'm having like a little seminar.
Oh no, not at all. No, I don't know anything about this, because and I'm not. I'm very fragile when it comes to
Oh
this
no,
stuff.
no.
So I'm I don't like to read these. I'm very fortunate, I suppose. I don't get. I mean, I do get my share, of course, and it's always, but I always make a point to respond to everything.
I
So
know.
I
I
don't
know.
want to accept the spam. I don't like the spam. Like,
Yeah.
click,
Check out this website.
yeah,
Yeah.
I hate that stuff. But
Yeah.
everything else is, I think, everything is legitimate.
Yeah.
And so and I think that's very fair. And I think also there's always a potential to someone like, and also I have bad days as well. And I'm
Hmm.
not saying that all negative comments come from people who are just having a bad day. So like,
Yeah.
I'm always great. No, I don't mean that at all. But
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm saying is, like, sometimes there's sometimes people just feeling in a lousy mood. I
Yeah.
get that way.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when I'm in a lousy mood, I say something that I will regret later.
Yeah.
And so I look at something and I think maybe someone is in a certain mood, and they'll have something that's written, and then maybe they'll regret it later. I mean, it's not on me. It's because I've always said,
It's
well,
their comment. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's under your
Yeah.
name. I don't know what you want to, but I'm not gonna. I'll leave it up there.
Yeah.
But so that's the kind of situation. So
Yeah. Well, I will tell you what, I've never seen a video where it looked like you were having a bad day, or that you weren't invested. It always looks like you bring it every time.
thank you very much.
Yeah, really.
I'm very flattered to hear that, but really, I don't do anything special. I just sit down. I sit down, like, I don't even sit in a chair. I just sit on the
Mhm.
ground,
But that's what we
and
come for, man.
I
You know?
just sit down to do nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I use my iPhone, and with my I dropped my iPhone, so now it has a crack
Oh yeah.
across the screen. But oh well, that's fine. I don't want to pay for a new one because I don't have any money. But it was,
I know. Yeah, I know.
but you're very kind. You're very kind for mentioning that. I'm very flattered by that. Again, it's a very lo-fi channel. I don't do
But
anything.
that's the thing. Like, even there, even if it's lo-fi, I feel there's still so much of your personality that comes through. And lo-fi that's not a critique. That's like, when it comes to lo-fi, either cinema or music or
Yeah.
entertainment, there's so much vibe in it that's positive and awesome. And I think that's what people gravitate towards your channel for.
Oh, it's very kind to say. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I'm very flattered by that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really kind of you. Wow, I'm very flattered. Like, wow. Again, don't, remind me to give you the payment after we're
And I'm
done.
sorry,
Yeah,
I'm not just trying to like
yeah.
sling out compliments, but yeah, it's really, and I really do think that's what people gravitate towards the channel for. They know they're going to get some solid factual information, and uh some really heartfelt perspective on films, that from it's like your buddy Dice K on there. He's giving you the breakdown of what he watched and what he finds important, and it's absolutely worth listening to.
Oh, Tanner, you're so kind.
Sorry, I'm gonna stop now, but it's really,
No,
you
no,
know.
no, no. Please keep going. No, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, yeah. So no, but thank you so much, Tanner.
You're welcome.
You're way, way kind. So generous. And again, for people who know you, or for people who are meeting you for the first time, whatever the case may be. So this is the real deal. So we've spoken offline on a number of occasions, and I really I just love your genuine and boundless energy and enthusiasm.
Thank you, thank you,
It's
thank you.
really wonderful, and it's coming from a wonderful place. And an example of that is the YouTube channel that you do. So Tanner, my dear friend, before we end, why don't we maybe just one more time, if you wouldn't mind, maybe just plug your channel or plug anything, promote anything you want. Where can people find you online? And we can go from there. So.
Yeah, my name's Tanner, and I have a YouTube show called The Horrible Show. It's spelled as in horror, like the genre, and then able show. And I'm on Instagram. I do the TikTok, but I'm so old, man. I don't know what I'm doing on TikTok. I'm trying to hang in there, but who knows?
Forever young, my friend.
Yeah,
forever young.
yeah. With these
Okay.
kids, I got my whole dance video. No.
We talked about it, Friday the 13th, a new beginning. So I wonder if you're going to have that dance video from the new
Strictly
beginning.
my career from here on out. It's just that on TikTok.
Oh, that's wonderful. So Tanner, all the details of your accounts, like, what did I say? I mean your online. I don't mean like your bank accounts, but like your Instagram and and YouTube. All that stuff will be in the description box. So I encourage everyone who are to check out the Tanner's channel, subscribe to the channel, leave comments behind. And there's so much fun out there for anyone who's wants a good time, wants to laugh, wants to feel happy, wants to feel welcome, talking about horror films, talking about other types of films, just having a nice conversation. So please check out Tanner's Instagram and also YouTube, and then subscribe and follow and comment, because it always helps.
Thank you.
All that information will be in the description box below.
Awesome.
All right. Well, Tanner, thank you so much. I'd love to do this again, and then continue the conversation. I'd love. This is so much fun. Thank you. Thank you so much for this, Tanner.
So thank you. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for watching.
All right. So see you soon, my friend.